Welcome to Hoovie's garage, well, actually, Hoovie's farm, the dumbest farm in all of YouTube. And yes, this is my latest purchase. It is a farmstead in rural Kansas, built originally in 1895. And I bought it to turn it into the ultimate car guy's paradise. Now, many people in the car YouTube space have bought a property before or built a house from scratch. And I've seen what they've done, and I've learned from what they've done. Stradman especially built an amazing house for cars, but he went over $1 million over budget, and then, well, I think a year behind schedule. Freddie Tavares is still in the middle of a crazy home renovation himself with a 2-car garage, but I wanted something where it was more or less turnkey on the house that I could live in and then make my own dream car guy space. And believe it or not, that's what I have right here. Even though this house, yes, was built in 1895, but it's had a lot of different renovations over the years, including a completely new foundation. This house was lifted off its foundation at one point, so put in the front yard, a new foundation put in, and then the house put back on top, and then there was a more recent renovation. But the farm itself predates the town that it was in by several years. This is a farmstead for multiple generations and still has a lot of the old buildings from before World War II up to the 60s, 70s, including one that needs to get knocked down. So I'm going to give you a tour of this whole farm property today, show you what I'm going to do with it, at least what's in my head, and, well, the challenges that I'm facing. But first, let's go inside. But before we start the tour of the farmstead, I'd like to thank ShipStation for sponsoring today's video. ShipStation provides integration everywhere you sell online, including Amazon, Etsy, eBay, Shopify, and more. You can manage every order from one simple dashboard, print shipping labels, easily compare rates and delivery times to optimize every shipment, and automate delivery notifications. And with enterprise solutions to make warehouse optimization easy, ShipStation scales when you do, meaning ShipStation works for pretty much everybody, including you. Yes, you. I'm looking at you. And I know this personally because I use ShipStation to sell my merch, including new Hoovie's Farm t-shirts, and they have always been easy and flawless for us. We've not only saved so much time with simple automation of shipping, but also a lot of money. With industry-leading discounts, you'll never have to worry about overpaying for shipping. You can get up to 84% off USPS and UPS rates. And if that's not enough, you can use my promo code to get 2 months of ShipStation for free to try it out. So there's really no reason not to get started selling online. Just do it. Over 130,000 companies have grown their e-commerce business with ShipStation, and 98% of companies that stick with ShipStation for a year have become customers for life. So spend more time growing your business when you automate shipping tasks with ShipStation. Go to shipstation.com/Hoovies today for a free 60-day trial. That's shipstation.com/Hoovies. Now, let's start the tour. Inside the front door here, I'm doing the tour kind of house hunter style, you know, where they walk in and go, oh, wow, look at this. Like they've never seen the house before. When they've seen it before, they've already bought their house. It's totally fake show. Sorry to ruin people's parade there. But also, I'm not going to give you a full tour of the house because there's personal spaces. I don't want to show everything. But I just wanted to show you a little bit of it just to show that it's been nicely updated. Believe it or not, this is the original footprint of the house. The original home ended right here with this wall, and then this was a porch that they actually extended and gave it more square footage. But you can see the kitchen very nicely updated. I don't have to do a thing here, but the one thing I really wanted to show you is this. So this is a flyover picture from 1956. And you can see the original farmhouse right here before any of the additions. But a lot of the buildings here from 56 are still surviving to this day. A few will go tour, and there's some other buildings, but a lot of them are gone. You can also see some cows out here. So they had a cattle ranch, a dairy farm, and then they farmed corn all around the property. Now, my property is just 5 acres of it. So they carved it out and sold it, and the rest of it is still being farmed for corn to this day. So I don't have to do full farming like Jeremy Clarkson. It's just 5 acres. But here's another cool photo of probably the 60s or the 70s of how the house looked way back when. So the good news here is I have a solid foundation. I have a newly renovated house that I can live in. I can change some things, but as is, totally usable. But what it completely lacks is pretty much any usable garage space for nice cars at all. So leading off the kitchen is a little mud room, and then this is the biggest garage that I have here, a tight little 2-car garage. I mean, it's good enough for a normal family, but obviously I'm a completely crazy person, so only 2 cars. We have Mike, the camera guy's Corvette right here, and my Escalade. But it is a very, very large space because they added this right here. Come see. There is an air-conditioned studio apartment right here with a bathroom. So I imagine this was some kind of hobby room, sewing room, whatever. I have absolutely no use for it, but the thought in my head, because the old house was built in 1895, the footprint really has nothing like a master suite that we are used to today. So I'm thinking I may completely axe this garage altogether and make this a master suite, something this house sorely needs and why it sat on the market for a very long time before I was the crazy person to come and buy it. Because 5 acres with all these buildings but no land to work it, it's a pretty small pool, and that ended up being me. But I do have an idea for a garage, an awesome garage on the property. But first, let me show you what I already have. Okay, so we have 5 outbuildings out here. So I guess we'll start with barn number 1, the most basic one here, which was in the original photo from '56, and it's basically a 3-car carport. It's not very tall though, so like the big Dodge Ram hits, as I discovered right here on the antenna, so it has to be a lower car. They didn't imagine big lifted trucks back in the 40s or 50s or whenever this was built. So it's just for small cars, really basic, but I'm not going to knock it down because it is pretty handy for small vehicles, even though it is a little rough. You can see on the sides here, the plywood siding is sort of coming down, but overall it is pretty solid. The big one here is, well, come through the trees. So this one probably dates back to around World War II, I'm not sure, but it is a big old giant tin barn, and there have been a few close calls with tornadoes, and apparently that's where the doors went at some point. But you can see, big old barn, but it has a nice modern concrete pad, and it has 3 of the vehicles in here right now. The big high top van, great space for it, the teal metallic truck, and then the million-mile Ram. Now, this wasn't really used for much of anything in the last decade or two, mostly just for a place to hang out, sort of a party event space. They've had some weddings in here, hence the really cool lighting with the Edison bulbs. So I could close this back up, frame up some garage doors, insulate it, but it's not big enough to be Hoovie's Garage 3.0, and it has this rustic charm where I think I would leave it mostly as is. This is a great hangout space, and the big van fits in here for now, the few trucks, but mostly I think I'm going to leave it alone, so not use it for much of cars at all. But let's continue. There's one very old building, older than this I imagine, that is going to need to be knocked down. Yeah, you can see this one is the roughest of the bunch. It has no tin roof or anything like that on it, so the roof is bowing and sagging and rotting away. And the paint probably has some kind of lead that Wizard will try and taste, but I definitely won't let him. But this is the old milking barn, and somehow they basically had an aqueduct system. There's water coming in here and water going inside of it. Come and see, it's really weird, and since I'm not a farmer, I don't really understand how it all worked, but they were using this sort of as a burn pit, and it's really quite a mess right now, but we'll go in here. And it is a very creepy old barn, but you can see the trough here, but I'm told it was for water for milking the cows. I'm not really sure what it was for, because I've never farmed or milked cows or done anything like that in my life, but apparently this is where the cows lived. At some point later, obviously, got a new roof, and then they divided it up to house some kind of animals on the other side. But this building, it could be saved, it could be reskinned, used for something new floor, but it is in really rough shape, and it does sort of mess up the view from the house, the beautiful property out back. It's sort of an eyesore, and even if it was made nice, it's just in the way. So I imagine it will come down in some creative way. We'll see. But there's still more buildings. Yeah, it is in really, really bad shape, and the electricity's been cut off to this building for obvious reasons, so it is completely dead. But you go over here, and then this is a very, very old building. It may be as close to being as old as the house, but it's just a cool little rustic, charming chicken coop made of tin, so it should hold up pretty well. But yeah, it's rustic. Come on in. The previous owners actually left some things for me, including the pitchfork, so I can do the whole Green Acres theme here. But yeah, a lot of saws and old farm stuff that I really don't know how to use. I don't even really know what to do with a pitchfork. I guess it's for hay or murdering, I'm not sure. But yeah, there's some saws, some shovels, live animals to haul the chickens, which, speaking of, look right here. We are totally set up for live chickens, and it seems like they just left. Here's the feeder. There's still feathers everywhere. There's still feces everywhere. They would go outside here, and I'm told by the neighbors, and actually the neighbor across the street, this was their great-grandparents' place. The people who built it knew, so that's how connected she is to the property. There's a big issue with coyotes, she says, and they'll eat chickens. They ate all of her cats, apparently. So if I did have chickens again, I would have to bring them inside at night, or, well, do something outside to where the coyotes can't get in. But you can see a pretty cool chicken setup, and there's actually one more stall. Yeah, this one, I don't know what they kept in here. It could be a pig. Could be a donkey. I mean, maybe a horse, a small horse, but yeah, you have another stall for some other kind of animal. And then here, there's another space for some more Texas Chainsaw Massacring if you wanted to. I guess, you know, cut people into pieces, bury them in the ground, whatever you wanted to do with a place like this. Oh, looks like there's a blowtorch. Huh, interesting. And I know there's a loft up here that I have not really explored yet, which I think I'm going to do. Cameraman's gonna be really excited to go up there. No creepy dolls or animal sacrifices up here, but huh, cool. Sleds, some Christmas stuff, and oh, there's an old sign here. Let's see what it says. This is covered in dust. Blue and white is not porcelain. All right, it's backwards. It says exotic pets. So snakes, lizards, something sold here. Interesting. Well, this isn't creepy at all. The crane system to put hay up in the attic, I imagine. So now they have modern windows, but you would have had this door here that would have opened up, and then you could rig it up with the casters right here. So they saved that. Interesting. But overall, it looks to be in pretty solid shape. I'm gonna leave before the spirits come get me. All right. There's still more buildings. It's ridiculous. So this is the closest to a farm this thing has had in a long time. This was a vegetable garden right here that's been overgrown, but basically nothing. But you can see remnants of the old farm here, including the aero motor windmill all the way up there. Originally, in the photo you can see at the house, it was right by the house, but it got moved back here in the 90s, tied to well water to where it can pump out and fill up the pond, which you can see the pond is back there in the trees. It's so overgrown, it is so swampy, it barely exists, but it's a 1 acre pond that I do plan on digging out, not myself, but having a dirt guy come out here and dig out the pond, make it bigger, make it deeper, and use that dirt to give me some privacy off the road. Build up the dirt berms, giant hills, to where when you drive by, you can't see the house. And with a gate, I have total security and privacy. It'll also cut down on the road noise. So very much looking forward to having that done. One other remnant of the old farm property is the grain silo. So when they went to cut down all the corn, which is still all around here, about 8 feet tall right now, the corn hasn't sprouted yet, they could have stored the grain in here, which that hasn't happened in who knows how many decades, but it still exists, and people do fun things with these. They can make stairs going to the top and have like a sitting hangout area. The previous owner mentioned filling it up with water, like lining it with gunite and having like a water well for emergency situations, like for firefighting or something like that. I'm not sure, but Some people knock them down. I don't want to knock it down because it's part of the charm with the chicken coop, the windmill, and the silo. It just looks great out the back, especially when that monstrosity gets knocked down. But there is one more big bonus on the property, and that's this barn right here, which it does look modern, but it was actually built probably in the 60s or 70s, and somebody went totally crazy in here. Come take a look. So I don't even need the house up front. I could literally live in here once I build the barn that I want, but currently it's a one-car garage, or an oversized one-car garage with a Z8, the lawnmower, a bunch of boxes in here. But when you go inside, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Hey, so off the garage there's a little utility room right here, and then I have an awesome barndominium, as they call it. It's basically a one-bedroom apartment in an old barn, and you can see how nice it is. Wood floors, vaulted ceilings, modern kitchen, and it's all being painted. Hernan's in here working on it, but I could live here no problem. It has a beautiful back patio looking out onto the farmland, and the coolest, nicest bathroom in the entire property. It's sort of like you're putting on a show for somebody if you're in the shower. His and her shower is a giant tub. So a few weeks ago when I was in the Barrett-Jackson Las Vegas auction, I was visiting my friend Graham Stephan, his house, went on the Iced Coffee Hour podcast, and I saw his studio, and it was so cool. I wanted to replicate that here somewhere for a new project of mine be coming out in the next coming months. But they were all blacked out, the walls, had a really cool studio space, and that's what this is going to be. So Hernan's painting it all, ceilings, everything, all black, all very, very dark, and we'll decorate it some way, set up cameras, lighting, and I'll have this new space. I'm probably really blacked out right now, but with the lighting it'll be super cool. So that's all the buildings, but I'm gonna show you the one space where I plan to build my dream garage, and it's the whole reason why I bought this property. So I really took my time with this property and searching, and this thing was for sale for a long time. I waited 6 months before I jumped on it just to see if anything else would pop up that would work, that already had the building, say something that was built in the city limits, but I always wanted a few acres just to put up my dream pole barn space. And well, you have to be outside the city limits and outside of building codes to put up a barn sort of like the existing ones on the property. If you do it inside the city, there's codes, you have to build it basically like a house, and it's so expensive to build anything right now and takes so much time that it's just annoying. With a pole barn and a steel metal building, they're a fraction of the price, and you can get massive height, massive square footage. You can insulate them, air condition them, and have a big building for a very reasonable price. And we're standing basically where I want it to be. There's already this existing concrete pad right here, and I can go really as wide as I want almost. I can do a 60 or 80 foot wide, and then I can go very, very, very deep into this overgrowth here. I can go another 80, 100 feet in length and have a massive, massive Hoovie's Garage 3.0 and build it exactly how I want to and take you all along for the ride. But there's going to be other projects on the property, obviously, making the pond deeper, bigger, making the house secure, doing the master bedroom, and I plan to show you all the housing related stuff as well if you like it. But there is one project to do right now, and that is changing the battery in the Countach, which I guess I'll do in the barn that's never seen a Lamborghini before. It's been around since World War II. This will be a first, so let's do that. Well, unfortunately, I let the Countach sit for a little too long, so the 4-year-old battery has bit the dust. But pulling in, obviously, I need some concrete out here to get to the new barn, so there'll be that too. I mean, it all adds up very quickly, all the things that I want to do, but I wanted to have something where I didn't spend over $1 million or multi-million dollars building the ultimate car guy's paradise. And this seems like a pretty reasonable way to do it. But I'm hopeful I won't get caught in a situation where I'm double what I thought I was going to be, since I already have a house that I like. I think I tightened this instead of loosening it. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Trying to talk and work on a car at the same time is not my forte. I'll leave that to the car wizard. But yes, at least I have plenty of car storage out here. And of course, I still have the hoopty hangar for all the nice vehicles until I get everything finished that I want. They'll still be filming mostly over at the hoopty hangar when it comes to cars and that, until everything starts out here. So I think this battery is ready to come out. And With that, thank you so much for watching. I work on my own cars, see?